Hello, Michigan Realtors, and welcome back to another installment of Letter of the Law. Now, in 2023, President Natalie Rowe appointed a Forms Committee to review and update a number of the forms in the Michigan Realtors Library. The Forms Committee has completed its update of the Michigan Realtors Purchase Agreement, otherwise known as Form A. Now, before using the new purchase agreement form, Realtors should spend time familiarizing themselves with it. To assist in this review, we will discuss the most significant changes. Method of payment. This section has been revised to require that all buyers certify that they have sufficient funds to complete the transaction, and to require a cash buyer to submit proof of available funds by an agreed-upon deadline. If a cash buyer's proof of funds is not acceptable to the seller can terminate the contract. In the case of a land contract sale, there is a new seller financing addendum which should be completed and attached to the purchase agreement form. This will be known as Form SF-A. This addendum enables the parties to agree on the basic loan terms that will be included in the land contract or purchase money mortgage that the parties will be signing at closing. Title insurance. The contract now permits the choice of a title insurance policy with or without standard exceptions. Title insurance must be ordered within 5 days of the effective date of the purchase agreement. Inspection contingency clause. Under Michigan Realtors' old form, if after the inspections the buyer requested any concessions, the seller could terminate the contract. Under the new form, if the seller will not agree to any concessions, the buyer has the opportunity to withdraw its request and purchase the property as is. New contingencies. The Forms Committee added a number of contingency clauses which, while not applicable in all transactions, are common enough that the group felt that they should be a part of the pre-printed form, rather than requiring agents to draft appropriate addendum language. These new contingency clauses are 1. A survey contingency, 2. A land division contingency, 3. A well septic inspection contingency, and 4. A contingency for the sale of and/or closing on buyer's home. Special assessments. Under the new form, unless the parties agree otherwise, all outstanding special assessments must be paid by the seller, even if the special assessments can be paid in installments over time. Now, this is true for special assessments imposed by a municipality or a homeowners association. Heating and cooking fuels. A clause was added for the properties that have fuel tanks. Unless the parties agree otherwise, the buyer is entitled to any fuel remaining in the tank at no additional cost. Seller can only deplete fuel through normal use. Land division. Language was added to make clear that in situations where the buyer is purchasing all of the seller's property, the deed will transfer all available divisions. Obviously, the parties do not need to allocate further divisions between parcels if the seller has no remaining property. Post-closing seller occupancy. The new form includes a choice whereby the occupancy charge can be paid in full directly to the buyer at closing, rather than held in escrow. There is also a new penalty provision if the seller does not move out by the agreed-upon date and time. Seller disclosure. Language has been added requiring the seller to represent in writing that the transaction is exempt. In addition, if the seller claims an exemption, we have created a new form which asks the seller to identify which exemption applies. This addendum need not be an addendum to the purchase agreement, but can be submitted in lieu of the seller's disclosure form. Backup offer. Language was added which allows a seller to accept an offer as a backup offer, contingent upon the termination of an existing purchase agreement. Again, the Forms Committee felt that this situation arises often enough that the clause should be part of the pre-printed form, rather than require agents to draft the appropriate language. Realtors may also notice that the form has been reorganized. The Forms Committee felt that the new paragraph order is more logical and therefore easier to follow and to explain to buyers and sellers. Local associations and realtor firms may use Michigan Realtors' new Form A as is or modify it for their own use. If you modify the form in any way, however, you must delete all Michigan Realtors identifying marks. Having different versions of a purchase agreement out there with the same identifying marks would cause significant confusion. And we hope you find the new form to be a significant improvement and reflective of the hard work that the Forms Committee undertook. If you have questions, feel free to send those inquiries to the email below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.